All right, welcome to. Oh, that's a great start.
Wait, did someone come
did
back?
you hear something, Tyson? Did you hear something? Previously I would normally say that the apex of the Pink Boys is Kid Moyer, Tyson, and I. But Tyson and I just did an episode ourselves, and
it was
really
horrendous.
good. No, it was good. It was focused. It was concise. And now this should be better, right? Because you're here.
Yeah.
So
last episode we did a show out with our big brains. So are you gonna
actually?
have to keep up
I
with this
didn't.
one,
Okay, so two things about the previous episode. I didn't appreciate the fact that you went on to talk about British humor without my presence, but I did appreciate the fact that Moyer brought up Peep Show, because that is one of the greatest TV shows of all time.
Actually, hold on, Ari. Do you know about the In-Betweeners?
I do know about the In-Betweeners. And Tyson, I have some things to say to you. The In-Betweeners isn't something that you watch when you live outside of the UK. It's very much... you really need to have like the British school experience as context to it.
The cultural acumen.
There you go. Yeah, the culture.
I'm in New Zealand, which is like an offshoot of the UK.
Listen, it can't compare. No, Tyson, you can't compare it. Okay, British school culture is definitely its own thing, and you need to have.
That's like someone being like, "Oh, I'm in the federal prison system, but I know what it's like living in the suburbs." It's like, no, I don't think you do. That's New Zealand.
Like,
is a slave
right.
state.
It's like I'm not going to be.
You have to be a fucking.
I'm not going to pretend to understand.
A convict to actually understand Prison Break.
I'm not going to pretend to understand what American school culture is like after watching High School Musical.
Well, it's not too far. Wasn't there a shooting in that show? So yeah, it's actually not too far off from that show.
Well,
it's not even like the cultural differences. It's the fact that the show is so fucking cringe all the time.
You wouldn't get it. Like a lot of those memes and tropes that you find are very much based in reality. You'd be surprised just how similar it really is.
I wouldn't waste your time.
It's similar.
Yeah, well, he can't verbalize beyond a toddler that just says cringe. Like I wouldn't even bother with Tyson. He can't even expand on his actual
so you're just gonna ignore all the points that I brought up last time.
Well, that was then. This is now, and right now you're all listening to the Pink Boys podcast. Yes, there is the three of us. I, Kid Moyer, and Tyson. And I said this a few episodes ago, but maybe I'll say it every other. Maybe I have to say it all the time. I'm not sure. But if you're watching, like and subscribe. I know you got to do it. You got to say it. So on what, Apple Podcasts? Isn't that the play or something?
Yeah.
Actually, like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and if you're on Spotify or Apple, follow us
and rate us 5 stars.
Yeah, I wouldn't overcomplicate it and give them, more than one thing to try and figure out, because then it gets complicated.
Now our views are really smart.
Yes, they are the ones we have are hyper intellectual. So polymath, some would say.
As well, like extraordinarily large.
I hear they only have large penises when they like and subscribe. It just starts happening
and
right
all
after
females,
that.
Of which there are many, have very big boobies.
If they want to have those, I'm not sure. Because guys sit around and they're like, "Oh yeah, well." Not like I do. But, I hear that guys sit around and say, "Oh, I wish I had a bigger dick." Do girls sit around and say, "I wish I had bigger breasts"?
Yes.
I don't know. Do they? If I were a girl and I had nice, small, like perky breasts, I would feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, dude,
I would feel elegant.
You know what?
You
know what? Like the difference is, guys don't look at a guy with like a bigger dick and feel penis envy, but I feel like girls, they have like fucking boob envy, where they look at a girl with like a bigger chest and say, "Oh, she's such a skank. I wish I had her chest," or something like that.
What? I would wonder. Are both two sides of the same coin. It's just one. It's just that one kind of either hides it, or it's like culturally like not acknowledged. Or the others just like.
Well, I'm glad we brought. Yeah. Do you think girls do something similar with?
Dude,
I couldn't get it out of my head because I did get a girl.
Everything guys do, girls do too. It's just true, and everything.
Possibly,
girls do, guys
but
do.
There was a girl I dated where she was talking about how girls hang out and talk about how loose each other's vaginas are.
I've heard that.
Do you think that's? Do they really do that?
No, I've also heard that they'll talk about like what their pussies taste like. and what they smell like. I'm not getting they do.
Well, is this the beginning to an American Pie movie where it's like, yeah, they all hang out and have sleepovers, talk about boys, and lick each other and be like, ooh, that tastes like this.
No. So I knew a couple people, and they talk about how like when they were young, they'd like have each other like sniff each other's vaginas. And you're like, this one's like swimming pools, and yours is like...
Okay.
All right, now we're veering into...
yeah. All right, did you date like a fucking dog or something? Because sniffing each other's vaginas.
We're veering into like harem anime territory or something too. Just like...
They also have group chats, and they were like...
Aikun, please sniff. We need to know who's...
No, but the thing is... the
vagina smells the best.
So guys tend to express their love in terms... Like, by... like... Guys express their love to their bros by like being really abusive and like talking shit or whatever. So for example, like you guys, right? You guys will call me gay or something, and I'll call you gay, and it's all love. And then like behind each other's backs, are like, oh, he's such a good guy, man. I like Moyer, I like Tyson. Whereas with girls, it's like like out loud, they're all like,
it's the inverse.
Yeah, out loud, they're all like, oh my god, I love you, oh, girl, and then like behind their backs it's like,
I'm really not trying to turn this. Yeah, I'm not trying.
It's so funny how like girls they'll meet each other for like 2 days and then they'll be like, I love us. Oh
I think. I always talk about this theory, and I not as much anymore because I'm getting older, but when girls who all have roommates, if there are 3 girls who are all roommates, there will always be the one problem roommate. And if you drill them hard enough, it will be like, okay, it's this girl, and there will be a problem. But even when they're roommates with just each other, one will eventually become a problem. I don't think women enjoy truly living together at any point, or it doesn't last more than a year or 2 before things kind of break down or some guy comes into the picture. I'm not meant to be a gender psychologist in that sense. Hey, that was like that show I was watching, that Harley Quinn show, where they eventually find out that they love each other, her and Poison Ivy, and it made the show a little bit better. So, but how did we get on this? I think I might have to steer us away. Yeah. Well, we'll have to tackle that subject a different time. I actually wasn't ready to talk about this one, so maybe it was a little bit off the cuff. But we have more pressing matters that I need to make everyone aware of. Something is happening in America, so that means you must all deal with it as well.
Colonel, now's not the time.
What's annoying is like, who is even calling him? You know what I mean? Actually, you know what? Share your phone with the class. Who is calling you?
Look, I'm a popular guy. What can I say?
I bet you that was an alarm or something. That was probably an alarm to get ready for this.
I don't think that is a ringtone.
Yeah, why would you have a ring like that? That's like the worst.
I set my phone alarm to wake up for the podcast, but I put it on snooze, so it's been.
Of course. So wait, you woke up and you're like, I have a podcast on. I guess I'll hit snooze.
Yeah, no, seriously.
No, I thought the time was 9 a.m. for me, so I set my alarm for 8 a.m.
So why did we start half an hour later?
So
that doesn't add up.
Because I got the timing mixed up, and
so you were prepared to wait another half an hour.
I was.
Listen, we don't have time to do the sleuthing here. Tyson's lazy. We'll get past that. I've been saying that for 60 episodes now. What I was going to say before Tyson's alarm went off is that it is inevitable, and I have a lot to say about this, so maybe I'll just go on my own tangent and gather around, but I'll get your guys' thoughts first, is that President Trump is set to be arrested this coming Tuesday in this country for, I guess, conspiracy to bribery using something involving campaign funds. And he confirmed this himself in all caps on his Truth Social account, also encouraging people to go out and protest for him. Now, last time that happened, it didn't really work out too well in anyone's favor.
Last time it happened, it was orchestrated, wasn't it? According to Tucker Carlson.
Well, we're not going to talk about that specifically, but we could in a moment. But there are some ramifications of this event going on. So I'll just go for first reactions. First reactions, Tyson. What do you think about? What do you think about this? Do you think it's going to happen?
It's part of the plan, honestly.
It's part of the plan for what? The Patriots?
Yeah.
Well,
they finally took control.
The fact that Elon Musk then followed up saying that if this is the case, then he's going to win in 2024 in a landslide victory if he gets indicted or something.
He did say that.
I don't understand the rationale behind that notion, though.
That just makes my sussy balls tingle,
Okay.
No, nice.
No, Tyson, were you going to say something?
Spidey senses. Some people have.
Yeah. Some people have that deep intuition. So my initial reaction is, so I won't look at this from a legal perspective because I'm starting to see the conservative argument where they're going down the rabbit hole of, well, did he actually do anything illegal, or were they actually fine to charge him with this, or is it a witch hunt, or is it just for show? Why even have that argument when really you should look at it more from the scope of ethics and would this be happening if he were not Donald Trump? And I don't think so. I think people make offenses like this constantly in the political sphere, but because it's Donald Trump, it obviously has to happen to him. They're going to nail it down. So I think it's going in a weird place where you shouldn't have to go after your old political actors like this and try and find something that they're guilty of, because I think there's bribery scandals going on constantly. It's just whether they want to focus on them or not. I think this DA is just really, really unhinged and trying to nail him down for something, because even the federal government, they could have got him on nearly anything and they chose not to, even before the January 6th stuff. So there must be something really, really strange going on here, or they're just going for it. They're just going for the gold and trying to throw him in jail.
How fucking convenient is this timing, right, for this whole thing? Like just before he's about to for the DA, right? Like just before he's about to kick into gear for his campaign, he gets arrested. Really?
Yeah. But it's hard for me to say this, but it is really going to empower him. I think it's actually the one thing that might be giving him a leg up over DeSantis, because it's going to turn him into a martyr folk hero of sorts. But my perspective is, yes, they would only be charging him with this. They're only charging him with this because he's Trump. But also, maybe you shouldn't have sex with a porn star while your wife is pregnant and then pay her hush money. Like, maybe don't do that. And then I'm supposed to lionize him as some type of Christian leader because he does these things. And it's like, you know what? Why doesn't the Republican Party just give up their addiction to him and realize that he's kind of a sleazy person? And anyone that's been loyal to him, he's stabbed in the back at some point through his career up until now. So I think it's time to let the experiment go and realize that it's had its time. But there's too many 50, 60 plus year old people who are still clinging to it and think he was robbed at the last election. So it's going to put it in it's refocusing the interaction between himself, DeSantis, and both of their relation to the Democrat, to the taking on the Democrats after the primaries, because now DeSantis is going to be viewed as the establishment candidate because he's not the one who's being challenged by the deep state, quote unquote. So Trump people are going to become even more loyal to him and kind of push DeSantis to the side and be like, well, there's a reason why they haven't prosecuted DeSantis, because he's secretly on their side, or he's secretly an establishment candidate. So I think this will embolden Trump's support base and maybe pull some people back to him if he doesn't actually end up in jail. I'm not sure what the ramifications of that are. So, yeah, I guess that's just American politics. So, anything to add there?
He shouldn't be arrested for anything that he's done.
You don't think so?
Like even in like the moral quandary, like, so what? Like, people cheat all the time. Who fucking cares? The thing that I'm more interested in is there's been talk about the overall Trump story arc being part of the GOP elite grand master plan. So,
oh no, which is what?
So apparently the Trump has been co-opted since 2018, and his loss in 2020 was calculated. So it was actually planned out. He meant to lose in 2020, so he could come back in 2024 as an outsider again Okay, so he would win as an outsider twice, and then revitalize the GOP while being under GOP control, because he won the first time while not being under
Dude.
GOP control.
I know, that's just so comically convoluted, because a lot of the talking points from Trump before getting here was the stock market was doing really well, and I helped move along the vaccine, which a lot of people in his sphere don't like that talking point now, but still go ahead with them because their brains are broken by, but the optics, which we're finding out isn't really that important and doesn't amount to much. So
I think Trump
just think
knows that his base
message.
doesn't like vaccines, and that he pushed the vaccine stuff because he knows that it's gonna make him lose the race. He meant to lose the race. So, yeah.
He was only pretending to lose, and then also just after the race talking about how it was stolen from the entire time was just a setup to rerun in 2024. Is that what
it
you're?
was?
Is that what
I
you're
think
telling me?
when I was reading this whole grand plan, they called Biden's presidency as a one-term controlled demolition of the Democrat Party. So
I want whatever these guys are huffing. That's some hilarious stuff. So, I mean, you never know. You never know at this point. But I don't think anyone within any of those positions is that smart.
I mean, even if there's like no real intention, like no sinister intent behind this, like quote unquote grand plan, and it's not like actually a plan, it is kind of like what is actually happening though, because Trump is coming in as an outsider 2 times, and Biden, he's really fucking old. I don't think he can go on for a second term. So
I was reading really good. This
know?
isn't actually the real Biden anymore. Conspiracies.
Yeah,
so they were really good, but they always lock in on the ear stuff. I'm like, really? It's their ears are different, so that's how you're gonna differentiate between them being two people. This was. Yeah, well, it goes way deeper. Again, there's this website me and my buddy liked years ago called Well Aware One by this guy Dallas Goldbug, who's probably been scrubbed off the face of the internet. But he used to make an argument that Walt Disney and Hitler were the same person, and it was pretty good. It was actually, he made a convincing argument, but he's the one, not to go down a rabbit hole about this kind of stuff, but he's the one that kind of convinced me. Out of most conspiracy theories you look into, crisis actors are up there as far as having realistic evidence. And I think crisis actors are legit. Do I think that Hitler and Walt Disney are the same person? No. And I also don't think Biden has body doubles, because the way he acts is so consistently like Alzheimer's and like geezer-like. I don't think you can. I think it'd be too hard to find like multiple people to do that. I think it's the same guy. It's the same guy. So, but
dude, after the Las Vegas shooting, I'm all in on crisis actors.
Yeah.
You guys remember like the fucking the story about the Mexican woman shouting about the black vans before the shooting happened?
No, I don't remember that one.
So apparently before the thing, there's this Mexican woman in the country music concert. She was like shouting like, run away from the black vans, like they're gonna kill us all or something.
Yes,
15 minutes before.
It's very shaman-like female intuition there. Yeah, but then they tried to play that it wasn't a Hispanic woman; it was actually like a Middle Eastern woman, and then the story changed, and now you never hear anything about it. But I do remember that, Tyson. That was briefly talked about right when the shooting happened, and then it got drowned out completely. And I guess the disinformation machine kind of got a hold of it. I didn't mean to go too deep on this, but I guess you can't help now, because the conspiracy realm and the mainstream politics realm have collided. I think that kind of goes hand in hand with, and I don't want to talk about it at all, but once the Epstein murder happened, the conspiracy realm and the mainstream political realm have been inextricably linked. And I think it's kind of safe to talk about these kinds of things now. I mean, to normal people, really. And it just bothers me, because I was into conspiracies this whole time, but no one seemed to want to talk to me about them until the last 2 or 3 years. But we've gone over that.
The issue of like that kind of stuff is excuse me. Have you seen that meme where it's like so there's like a bunch of conspiracy Wojaks, and then there's like a Wojak that represents just the general population, and the conspiracy guys are like talking about things like MK Ultra, just the usual things that like normal people like hear out, and then normal people are like, yeah, this is quite interesting, and then out of nowhere, like some CIA Wojak with a mask and everything will come out of nowhere and it'll be like Joe Biden is flat Earth, all this and that, just to like just to discredit, to discredit all of these all of these real things, and then like to turn away the people, and they're like, oh yeah, it's crazy, and then they'll come back again with some shit like this, and reel them back in, but like it's in such a way that like I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but what I was trying to transition into is that so I'm going to talk about aliens real quick.
Oh no!
No. So I promise this isn't going to be too retarded. So.
You couldn't think of anything else to talk about in your 2-week absence besides the thing you talk about all the time.
Okay. So, over the past few years, I'm sure you've been aware of the fact there's been like a kind of soft disclosure, on this stuff. Like they're talking about it more openly. You see it on Tucker Carlson and all that. Him talking to fucking shills like Louis Elizondo.
Yeah, Luis Elizondo.
Yeah, all of that stuff. I read this thing and it was questioning why now? Why are they being more open about all this now? Why is this now very much in the mainstream consciousness? Like you saw the balloon thing, right? Everyone was like responding to it, and they were receptive to the whole idea it may be aliens. And this guy brought up an interesting point, and it's that now, private companies, space travel and space exploration is now like within reach for private company, and you see them all getting ready now to at the very least go to the moon. So you see, for example, you see SpaceX, which is a private company, ready to go to the moon. You've got like various companies in China, blah 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 blah, and like you've got smaller guys like wanting to send satellites up there. And there's this old conspiracy that on the dark side of the moon, because the same side of the moon always faces us, there's like alien bases and stuff. And the thinking here is that maybe they're gently disclosing all of this stuff because if they didn't, private companies would come along and then they'd disclose it and it'd be a bit of a shocker. And then there would be doubts like sewn into like our own governments and all that for like hiding this, because of course NASA would have to know. Basically they're only doing this to maintain like a level of trust of the people, not to like put up a smoke screen. Does that make sense?
Do you believe we actually went to the moon, Aiii, or no?
Yeah, I do, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think
it's like the meme, like it's like there's two wolves inside me, the anti-moon landing thing and the alien thing.
Well, no, but exactly. I mean, like if you talk, there's like Apollo astronauts that did go to the moon have on record like said that there were like visitors up there, people watching them, and there's like shit on the dark side and all of that. There was
my favorite one is inside you there are two wolves. It didn't happen and they deserved it. That's my favorite one. Sorry, I keep going. That one just popped into my head. Yeah, I mean, I think the most compelling evidence about that kind of stuff is like the way those astronauts came back from that mission. They're very strange, alcoholic, standoffish, troubled people. Yeah. Like as compared to before and after the mission. That's what I remember someone talking about on Coast to Coast when I used to listen to that all the time before they just tried to sell you supplements every other 5 seconds. And I thought that was one of the more interesting points. I've never really gotten all the way in on moon landing was fake. There's just not.
It's
I think it's on such a scale.
I also put that on the surface level schizo thing where you can like pretty much just dispose of those people. It doesn't matter. No one gives a shit if it was faked or not. It has there are no ramifications.
You're right.
Like the entire reason why people focus on that is just so they can mistrust. They can sow some mistrust in the government somehow. When there are so many other ways to do that anyway. These people are just too retarded to go beyond that. Like they're not smart enough to like explore other ideas.
That's a really good point, Ari. There's nothing at stake if the thing is fake. So what's even the point?
It doesn't fucking matter. It's like it's
to produce this information.
Yeah, but again, if you wanna like put a finger up at the government, literally just like pull up MK Ultra or something. Just like, there are crimes against humanity there. Like, and those are like official documents that you don't need any conspiracies there. It's right up. It's in your face. You don't need this moon landing bullshit to say all this, or like the flat Earth or whatever. These people, do you know what it is? These people just want to belong to a secret. Everyone wants to belong somewhere, right? And these people just want to belong somewhere where they believe that they are with the truth. They want to feel special. That's why there's so much like bullshit in the UFO community and like the ufology community and like alien stuff. Like, you have people that are like, oh, I was abducted with that. And they're always like some kind of messiah, some kind of like chosen one. Like, oh, they wanted me to like spread this message. You're like, oh, you're special. Like, shut the fuck up.
You could say that so about a lot of other cultures too. Yeah, I mean that's in a lot of hobbyist / front-facing online cultures too. Besides that, so maybe it's just human nature.
Like, can you not just like enjoy something and like just do it because it's cool, not for yourself, Like,
not lately. So, but I will talk about something that or people having an issue with others enjoying things. And I see a subject here that I think is interesting. It piqued my interest. Tyson posted it just before we started. It's a one-liner Tyson classic. It says, and it's extreme. Picky eaters should be killed, is what Tyson is saying.
Okay.
So, Tyson, would you like to? I am a picky eater. I am a picky eater, and I'm even pickier drinker. I don't drink anything that I can't see through. I have a strict aversion to drinking anything that I can't see through. So we'll talk more about that in a second. So Tyson, can you give us your thesis on picky eaters should be killed?
I just think they're fucking losers. Like, really, your taste buds are so fucking sensitive that you can't like stomach a fucking piece of broccoli.
Wait,
really.
Are you talking about when you wait stomach? Wait, hold on.
Why don't you fucking grow up and just eat the fucking broccoli?
You need to make a distinction,
or fish,
Tyson.
or whatever the fuck it is.
You just said stomach. Are you talking about people that literally cannot eat something, or someone who just chooses not to?
No. It doesn't matter. It's fine if you're allergic, but like people that say, "Oh, I don't like this X in my dish." It's like, okay, well, are you 5? Are we 5 years old here? Like, we're adults, right? So,
I don't want to eat things that taste bad.
Deal with it. It's so annoying when I go out with people and then they're like, "Oh, let me give my fucking like 20-page list of demands on how I want my dish prepared." Like, we don't have time for that.
You're an adult and you're responsible for what you put in your body. So if you're looking to be healthy and to look after yourself, then enforce that will onto other people. I don't see any issue with that.
Sounds like Tyson just wants you to inhale slop, whatever garbage he throws in front of you. We're not all disposals like you, Tyson. That's ridiculous.
No. I don't believe picky eaters should even exist because
picky eaters are why you exist. Yes. That's deep.
I like that.
No, Tyson, your hunter-gatherers. Your hunter-gatherer ancestors weren't eating shit for a reason.
Everything that... If
Tyson,
your
you
parents
first.
Made good food... and then that you were raised to eat everything on your plate and not like leave out some like random fucking bits, you would have a refined palate and eat everything
Tyson.
around it. So it's
food.
Yeah. What? If you have a refined palate, that means you're pickier. What does that mean?
Food has changed.
Go ahead, Aiii.
Food has changed. It's no longer about nutrition or I was trying to make a... Okay, who was that?
It was Tyson again because he's a fucking
I happen to know that was the email.
He doesn't mute
ringtone.
his phone after the first time.
I just want everyone to know that was
an
email ringtone. He's not getting texts from anyone.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you get like updates and you get a notification for an update to make you feel like you have a life. You're just a fucking loser. I hate people that have notifications for things that aren't text messages or calls. Why do you need an update that you got an email?
You have your ringer on when your phone.
Oh, it's not for work. Shut the fuck up. That's so annoying. Go ahead, I have a real life, real person job, and I don't have that. So you're a fucking loser.
All right,
Go ahead,
let's not get Okay, back to talking about food. Okay, so yeah, Tyson, I hear what you're saying, and I think what you're saying would have made sense pre-industrial revolution, because everything that would have been on your plate would have been more or less like good for you in some way, or like, and or not terrible. But like nowadays, it's like most of the stuff that is put on your plate. If we're just talking generally here, like
Pot on your
generally
plate.
with what the average population is eating, then yeah, like a lot of it is just shit. Like you have to actually like the only reason why you think they're picky is it's because it's normalized. It's normal today for people to have to go out of their way to eat what would have been deemed normal in the past. That makes sense. So like,
Look, I'm just angry and upset because I invited people to my house and I spent hours, literally hours, cooking food for them, and then I have some weird fucking loser in the corner like just picking out some vegetables that I cut up because he doesn't like the taste of it apparently. So it's like, okay, well, why am I even inviting you to my house? You know?
I mean, you're the loser in that point. Oh, hey, bros, come on over. Let me make you some vegetable. Like,
no,
what? Why would you want to do that? Why wouldn't want to?
I made a
go
dish
to a
with
restaurant with your
component.
friends or something.
No. I can empathize with
about
Tyson
that?
here. Like,
I'm the loser for making food and
no. I can empathize with Tyson here.
Yeah, and then complaining to them for not liking it enough. You made it. You made
Everyone
it. Don't make shit. Maybe
except this one loser in the corner who like was so picky with his vegetables that it wasn't like the right consistency or whatever, like weird fucking shit that he liked.
Good, finally someone held you to your shit cooking standard or something. Maybe you had someone who kind of raised the bar there a little bit instead of like, thanks, Tyson. What if you undercooked it and gave them like basically an uncooked patty? And all your friends just have to eat that and be like, "Oh, it's great."
Refined palate, and then we'll talk. Okay,
a refined palate of what?
I mean,
Cereals and microplastics.
Put it this way: I grew up eating from scratch Italian off the boat recipe food. I'm not gonna go back to eating garbage shit after that. Why would I do that? I ate up eating good stuff. Why would I eat Tyson's barely cooked bell peppers? When I could eat real food. I'm on his friend's team. Give me that guy's number. We'll have a conversation about it. So.
Okay. Tyson, see, the thing that gets to me is you say all this, but I bet you that you'd be the first one to turn around and be like, I'm not going to eat the bugs. It's cringe. Or like,
that's true. Oh, what? You don't have a refined palate? You can't eat the grasshoppers, the chocolate grasshoppers?
Why don't we use a real parallel example? If I was invited to someone's house and I got given food, I wouldn't pick apart and like throw some random bits out. Even if I hated it, I would still eat it.
Okay.
Like,
I definitely would.
I don't think choosing to not eat the bugs is any different to choosing to not eat seed oils or like some like industrial slop. I don't see any difference.
Maybe you'll cook better next time.
Sloppy? Why do we keep talking about industrial slop? This is like a home cooked meal. I made like Japanese teriyaki udon noodles. Like that's all I did. It's not like I made burgers and like milkshakes or whatever.
Why don't you just not have gay initiation rite dinners with your loser friends and just go out to eat somewhere and have drinks? I'm kind of on this team because it's not because then when you have friends over, why don't you just throw stuff on the grill? You know, what do you do over there? Shrimp on the Barbie? Do something like that. I don't know what to tell you. Instead, you have to get technical and have this Japanese dish with vegetables and whatever else. No one wants to go over to someone's houses for that.
Well, you know what? Don't expect me to cook for you when I come to America. So, yeah.
I mean, judging by your friend that knows you cook shit, I think I don't need any of that.
Is a bit too transcendent for his friend group. Tyson belongs in a high society where he can sit down and serve people 7-course like tiny little meals. It'll be like one noodle on a plate. And like,
what's that movie that just came out?
Actually. The menu,
what's that movie that came out recently with Annunaki? Yeah, that's going to be Tyson.
What's that menu? Did you say?
Killing people for not eating the vegetable.
You will eat the vegetable.
Exactly.
You know that meme like of that soldier is saying to the prisoner of war, like, dig the fucking hole. It's like me eat the fucking vegetable.
I do think that's weird though that your friend didn't like vegetables specifically because it's really hard to mess those up. They kind of all taste the same. Really.
That's not true.
So with vegetables, as long as you fry them or do something, I feel like they all kind of come out the same.
It was fucking broccoli that he had an issue with, and it's like broccoli's the most inoffensive vegetable taste there is. I don't understand.
Yeah, I think he just didn't like broccoli. Which that's all right. Cauliflower's better, tastes better. So I don't blame him in that.
Brussels
hard to
sprouts
disagree,
are so
but-
underrated.
Well, we're not quite talking about those. We're just talking about, I guess tree-like looking vegetables
Is
or
that-
something. I don't know how this is. Are cauliflower and broccoli in the same family of
they are.
vegetable? I feel like they are.
They are, yeah, aren't they?
I don't know, but yes, Brussels sprouts are way up there too. The Brussels sprouts might actually be my favorite vegetable.
Ooh, I don't know, man.
pretty
Carrots are
Really?
pretty good.
I read recently
Yeah.
that Brussels sprouts today taste way different than Brussels sprouts 100 years ago, and that the companies have been using GMO for the past 50 years to make Brussels sprouts taste good.
Probably.
So what? They used to taste really, really bad, and now they taste
Yeah.
good. Well, just give some credit to this GMO Monsanto guy.
Yeah, I'm coming
Spray
around to
pest that
GMO actually.
you're coming around
I'm
to
coming-
GMO and Monsanto.
I
Yeah,
don't
which
know
are
about that.
the supposedly super evil corporations that have patents on taste and food itself or something. But I'm coming around to them too. I like what I eat every day. I like the garbage I eat. I like the good stuff I eat. But the difference in nutrients between Europe and America is they're different
Oh,
plants
yeah.
entirely. That I'll never get over. Like your guys' food is fresher, better, and
I
has
can
less
literally just
garbage in it
walk
than our food.
outside and go into the woods and pick an apple, and it will taste a million times better than anything you could ever hope to find in Walmart.
Oh, I was just blown away. I ate like complete trash when I was over there, and I didn't gain a single pound.
Oh, I
It
don't
was
know about that.
unbelievable. If I had that same, I do. Well, I did a lot of walking there because I was
Okay.
a tourist, obviously. But I will say I could feel the food being digested more efficiently and less painfully over in your
Okay, yeah.
country than when I was in America, for sure.
Did you walk
Without a doubt.
everywhere you went more?
I did walk a
when you
lot.
were over
Yeah,
there?
I walked a lot, but I got a handle
That's
on
like-
using the tube
That's
as well.
that's my favorite thing of going to a new country. I would just walk for pick a direction and just walk it for a couple miles actually.
Yes.
Yeah, because everything's
That's
interesting.
literally
to
what
you,
you do.
know? I just walked around.
I'm not gonna say any.
Yeah, Tyson discovers.
I'm not
walking.
gonna say any names here, but Tyson, if you remember, we were planning a trip to Japan, and I was just like, let's just what we do is we go there,
Yeah.
and what I usually do is when I travel is I walk out of my hotel, I go, okay, left or right, I choose a direction, and I just walk. And if something catches my eye, I'll go there. It looks cool. Let's do that. If not, we
Remember,
keep
I was
walking.
with you with that. I was fully on board.
And this our friend here was do you want to say it, Tyson?
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Nah, you guys have gone far enough with that. So yeah, I think actually I'm gonna push a little bit further in the direction of we'll take picky eating and add a little bit more to it. And I think a lot of what taste has to deal with is subjectivity and whether people find things preferable based on their own proclivities. So we'll take that a step further. There's something that really bothered me recently, and I'm going to try to verbalize this, but it's feeling difficult at the moment. But when you watch a lot of, I'm not even going to use any names, let's just say online discourse, YouTube channels, or even I've had it in conversations with people in real life as well, and it's actually been bothering me. So there used to be this clip of Steve Harvey, which is really funny. Well, the clip still exists somewhere, and it's basically Steve Harvey going off on this long tirade about, he's like, I can't be friends with anyone who ain't a Christian. You believe we came from monkeys. Yeah, how can I? You have no basis for anything, blah, 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 blah. And I saw this clip 5 or 6 years ago, and I thought, man, that's so stupid. How could anyone believe that? But then a little bit of time went by, and we'll put the monkeys and evolution discussion off to the side for a second. But I started to think about it. In daily conversations, when you talk to people who are agnostic or atheist or don't have a set faith, mainly in a singular deity, they always say, just be a good person. Just don't be a shitty person. Yo, he's being a shit person. And a lot of the people who say that have no problem passing judgment and calling each other shit people or good people, or they think they have this frame of reference because their only frame of reference is themselves. They don't have any objective rulings or objective structure in life that supposedly came from elsewhere. And I think to myself, that mindset of just don't be a dick or just be cool to each other, there's no frame of reference for that. And it breaks down very quickly when you start getting into like ethically questionable situations that are a little bit heavier than everyday conversations, such as, it's really easy to say, dude, don't be a dick, aka don't punch someone in the face and then steal their money. But when you get to a more complex subject, like let's say abortion or something like that, their ideology falls apart immediately. But people are okay going through life day to day, not believing in objective rule sets and thinking that subjective "don't be a dick" mentality is passable for anything relating to a moral standing. And these are the people that give you moral and ethical advice as well and think they're fit to. How could they ever? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's just been really bothering me.
These are the people that that unironically say like, maybe don't be a fascist, maybe.
Like, I guess so.
The thinking of like, so to be in the position of like thinking you're like an authoritative figure on what's wrong and what's right, I think that's inherently grounded in something immoral. Because like you have to at some level think you're better than someone else. Like you have to feel a bit. You probably feel superior. What am I trying to say? You're like putting yourself on the layer of a deity, I guess. If you're like not, I know what. Anyway, what I was going to say is, they'd like turn around and they point fingers at you. Oh, you need a god to tell you that, things are good or bad. But it's like I've always seen it as like, it's a lot more sincere when you genuinely believe there are consequences to your actions. You know what I'm trying to say? It's
interesting. Like, okay. Yeah, and these are the same people that always say, well, nothing matters anyways because there's no God. Yeah. It's like, okay, then why should you be able to declare what a shitty person is? How about I shoot you in the face? It makes no difference, does it? Kill you. Does it not? How about I punch you in the fucking face and take your money and fuck your bitch? Like, I don't know what you want me to do about that.
We're all just atoms from stardust anyway, so why does it matter?
Yeah, it's like, actually, now that I'm thinking about like the great contradiction, and maybe this is something that's been talked about a million times over, I guarantee it has been, but it's something along the lines of, how are these people the ones able to make moral declarations is if you pin them down on it, they would think nothing matters anyways because they don't believe in a God. So I don't understand how you can parse the two things together. Why would I ever listen to Steve Harvey was right. I don't think I can ever take any ethical advice in general from a person who doesn't have an objective basis in some type of scripture ever again. Why would you listen to him say anything? They have no input on anything.
Are you familiar with Paul Wallace?
No, okay. I don't know who that is.
I'll reserve this for a later episode, but just to make it quick about what you just said about believing in the scripture and like all this like cosmic stuff. He I've talked about this before. He kind of proposed like a missing link between the whole like stardust thing and like the whole biblical scripture kind of thing. I've said this before. The whole thing where like the Bible today as it stands is like it's misinterpreted and it's mistranslated, and there's a lot of missing context and stuff. He like kind of rejoins everything together and like puts the Bible in the context of what people would have seen it years and years ago, and like Jesus's message in like a new light. And after reading all of that stuff, I'll put it bluntly. I think it's one of the most profound things I've ever read in my life. And he tied Jesus's teachings back to like a much more Platonian line of thinking, and like the way these. There's a lot to go into here, but all I'm going to say is like
that's so interesting.
If anyone's interested, like I seriously encourage you guys to read the 3 books by Paul Wallace. There's like Escaping Eden, and then there's like Chaos in Eden. They've all got Eden in the title. Just
okay, so I must have heard of those books before because I've definitely heard those titles before. That's interesting. I didn't know they were that cool though.
No, honestly, like it's one of the most profound things I've ever read. Honestly, it's probably one of the best things I've ever read in my life. Like I see this, I look at this like new. It's not really a new, but like this new interpretation of the Bible. I'm like, holy shit, this is like truly like, this is incredible. Like I could genuinely see like if there's like a new version of the Bible which took all of this into account and it was like retranslated it and like had all of these interpretations and all that put in for you, I could genuinely see like most of the world just like turning religious overnight if they read this. Like it's so and because there's like actual people, these people like to ask for evidence. There's like tons and tons of evidence here as well, like tangible.
That's the thing that bothers me the most
evidence.
because
and it's just incredible.
That's the thing that bothers me the most because I can't interact with people like that. Go ahead, Tyson.
Does he do the meme where that Peterson does where he takes like a section of the Bible and he says, well, the Bible says this, but what they really mean is
he
this.
looks at it in its entirety. Here's the thing, and I know you're going to get pissed off the moment I say these two words, but like he involves like other ancient scriptures and all that and uses them as context. And again, I'm going to say these two words, you're going to get pissed off. Like he says stuff about Anunnaki and Nephilim stuff. But then he also
no,
just like glimmers here and there. But then the more I think the stuff that I resonated more was
dropped
when he was discussing Jesus and all that, and he put it in like a kind of, I don't want to say quite a Gnostic perspective, but like he presents Jesus as more like a representation of the source, which is what God truly is, and how Yahweh in the Old Testament was more like a false god. And Yahweh being like a not very nice, not very nice. I guess he wasn't a god.
Does he do the demiurge kind of stuff? That's
no. He doesn't do that. There's like,
here's why Lucifer was
no.
good,
He puts all of those guys in a bad light. Nothing there changes. So one of the best examples I could think of here is in the Old Testament. It talks about how like, I think it was like when Moses was like child, people were starving and all that, and they were like, yo, Moses, can you like ask God for like food or water or something? And then like God supposedly sent an army of serpents, right? I was like, what kind of God does that, right? Well, what the person, so he cross references this with like Babylonian and like Assyrian scripture, where it's like, okay, the quote unquote God was actually like, I'm just gonna just to make it quicker, let's just say if it was like some kind of Nephilim guy, right? And he sent like an army of serpents to these human slaves, right? And later on in the New Testament, when Jesus was asked about like why he kind of retcons some of the things in these in the Old Testament, he's like,
the parable.
Yeah. He's like, Jesus turns around and he says, what kind of father like sends an army of serpents when his children were simply asking for food and water? Like, and like, I guess the usual interpretation of that is just like, well, you could probably imagine. And then he puts this in a new light, and he's like, where Jesus is actually referencing, like, he's directly referencing the Old Testament here, and he's talking about how like, yeah, Yahweh, he was basically saying Yahweh's not God, and he was completely retconning all of that. Again, I couldn't articulate it anywhere near as good as the book.
So what are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say this book is fucking amazing, and just read this stuff. And I'm saying that there's a whole other side to religion that just hasn't been seen by anyone, or at least hasn't been seen by humans for like thousands and thousands of years.
I did like what you said about.
I think that
it's sort of like a Bible 3.0, so I will give it a shot. Actually,
the book itself isn't the Bible, but what I'm saying is like, you read this and you wonder, well, is the Bible we see today like even the Bible? I'm not. By the way, I'm not saying the Bible's like wrong or anything. I'm just saying like the translations and the interpretations are like really, really misleading. And then there's the church as well. Like, he talks about like the
all right, well, we won't get into all that, but I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
yeah, I get it, but that seems to be everyone's issue with Christianity. The first thing they talk about is the church too. They don't even talk. They're like, well, at church, someone made me like.
But the church is, but the church and
said my skirt was too long,
and then like
the
Hebrews and the apostles, like they're maybe not even intentionally. They're like unintentionally responsible for all this, because like, again, they didn't have the context for a lot of the Bible, and they also didn't know what to do with a lot of these words that had no meaning. Like in Genesis there was like the word ruach, and they translate that to the spirit of God. When ruach actually translates to flying object in Assyrian.
All right. We let you go too far. We get it. All right. You just had like the last 5 minutes to talk about this stupid fucking thing. You could have just said, "Oh, here's this nice book with this guy," and then we thought it was interesting, and then you had to talk for another 5 minutes and suck all the fucking fun out of it. So,
dude, you sold me on this, then I dropped it. So
now I don't even care
long.
anymore. Now I literally don't even care anymore because you made it fucking stupid. So you could have just said, "Oh, there's an interesting person that writes this book that has to do something with what we're talking about. You should look into it. Here's one or two things about it." But instead, we have to go all the way down this rabbit hole to be something about the list. Like,
I'm just saying. It connects everything. There's like a bit of everything in there. There's a bit of.
Oh, thanks. Well, we're not trying to solve the fucking theory of everything right now. Like, we're really not. All right. I'm just talking about like abject morality, and it's pretty simple. It's pretty cut and dry. But instead, we got to go on a long walk down Nephilim Avenue at the crossing of Annunaki Street. And like every other time you open your fucking mouth, it's just like, all right, we get it.
I've seen this street before.
All right.
Yeah, I have. I live on that street. Every week I live on that street. No, I'm not even giving you a chance to wrap it up. I was going to say 5 minutes ago that this book reminds me of this other one I read called Terra Christa, which is by this author called Ken Carey. And one of the arguments he was trying to make in this book, it's like kind of alternative Christianity. Who knows if it's blasphemous, possibly. But his argument is actually that life is getting better across the world and people are waking up, and we're too busy being neutered by secular forces that aren't letting us see that faith, there's less war, there's less suffering, and the world is actually a better place and keeps becoming a better place, and that's through God's grace. But we're not noticing that. But the book was written like almost 40 years ago at this point, but it's interesting, and it kind of reminded me of what I was talking about. But Tyson, you have anything to add on to this conversation?
I think it's interesting.
No, I'm good.
Oh,
no,
actually, on the note of what you were saying, so like when he talks about how like people, so do you believe in collective consciousness? Like the idea that like if lots of people are like hopeful of something will happen.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like manifestation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it just like the secret, like
what is manifestation?
Law of attraction or something?
I mean, it's kind of like prayer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess in a way.
Yeah.
I don't want to get.
So what are you trying to say?
I don't want to get too deep into it. I think there's some cool stuff there about like when lots of people like pray together and like what's going on there underneath and why it works and whatnot.
All right, fair enough. Tyson, you got anything in your goodie bag here, or we think we're setting it off?
I was thinking of this concept of human migration earlier yesterday, and it really is like such a beautiful fucking concept pre-1900s. So
Tyson,
the closest analogy I could align it to is like when you play a new open world RPG.
Oh god, drop! Stop!
Guys, they're awful.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
go ahead.
That's why I said it's a fucking analogy. Like when you play a new open world game, and you have like all these unexplored areas, and you're like really excited to fucking like go and explore the world and shit. What we're experiencing today, it's like when you've like platinumed the whole game and like the entire map and you've done all the objectives and all that. It's like pre-1900s, if you were living in like for example like northern China, you could just like fucking get up out of your house and like walk for like 1,000 miles and you'd end up in like a completely different biosphere somewhere else, and it would be so far removed, it would have like zero contact with your original starting point, that it was like you're entering like a different world essentially, and you don't really have that anymore.
I see what you're trying to say, but the thing is,
because why do you not have it anymore?
You could walk around the entire world and you would still be somewhat like connected to where
there's
your
so much of
original
the world
point was.
There's so much of the world that's still unexplored.
Well, yeah, when you take undersea and like, I think Tyson is talking about feeling jaded culturally and also geographically with where we are because of how connected the world is. And
there's no sense of exploration anymore.
Well, is that not where space exploration is, like taking everyone's curiosity?
No, that's so. There is so much nothing in space. It's not even
agree
funny.
With you. I'm just
like,
saying. I'm just
most
saying.
of space is fucking nothing. That's why I hate people that are into
that
it.
Curiosity has just been placed elsewhere. That's all I'm saying. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. I hope anyone who goes into space from this day forward has.
So I'm just going to say this real quick. Space is mostly empty, but the only reason why we have an interest is because for the potential of life elsewhere, and that is interesting. If space is like the universe can be like completely empty, if there's one planet out there with like intelligent alien life, that's enough for me to be like, yeah, I want to see that.
Okay. Wow. Big surprise coming from you.
I think you'd be lying if you said you wouldn't be interested in that either.
Fair enough, but we're talking about planet Earth for now.
Sure.
So Tyson, you unexpectedly, you weren't trying to, but you stepped into one of my traps. So you know how I kind of like to poke around with you here, where I say things like movies aren't real art. They don't have actual depth. Just kind of like those.
I don't believe you with that stuff anymore, by the way.
I know, but
you're being contrarian.
There's things that I like poking around with. The ones that I've been working on that I actually believe is people shouldn't be ordering things at home. People who do DoorDash deliveries and stuff like that. They're not contributing.
That one I kind of agree with because
I'm going to keep working
over
with that.
Local businesses.
Yes, and Amazon is the main progenitor of that kind of line of thinking. So I'm going to keep working that once. But one of them that's way out there that I'm going to be workshopping for the next few months, probably the next year, but it's in my head a lot, is that the invention of vehicles is actually bad for us culturally and as a human species because it prevented us from being further knit into our own communities and neighborhoods. Instead, we're focused outward by vehicles. So that's when I want to get really frustrated when 15-minute cities come up and the right gets all angry and said, you won't be taking my car away. I want to be able to drive to Chili's with my family. Take that, liberals. And it's like, excuse me, aren't you the same people that obsess over the fact that we don't have communities anymore that are tightly knit and we look out for each other, which sounds like a little bit of collectivism, but they won't acknowledge that. But cars are harmful to community because they let you leave and go anywhere else, anywhere that's not there. And we've taken that to such an extreme extent that we don't have any wonder or mistake.
That's a really good point, actually.
It's just because it's accessible to everyone.
No. He has a good point. So pre-1900s, the barrier to entry to fucking enter like a new world was so fucking high that when you actually did it, it was like you were actually being teleported to a different world, and it's so far that's why it felt like it was so far removed. But now everyone can just like hop in a car and like travel like 3,000 miles in like a day. That's why there's no sense of like disconnect from these biospheres anymore.
There's no more sense of wonder and appreciation for your own community because you can just leave it. If I had to, let's say you're someone that's sick of living in the suburbs and you want to go to the big city and be a lawyer or something, that investment you would have to make where it would take you 10 days to get there would mean a hell of a lot more to be leaving your community and going and planting yourself into this new life. It gives intent.
What are you guys
what you want to
about?
do.
People have been like going. People have been migrating on horseback for thousands of years. They literally across the fucking world.
And they do it together, and they don't split up. They stay as a community because they're moving together with singular human intent.
Sure, but
it's kind of like
empires and like
you kind of equivocate the horse with like the fucking car.
Yeah, you can't at all. That's the way. He's so dumb.
Come on, no, like you're trying to make the point. It's like teleporting into a new world, but like you could do that in the past.
It is.
Yeah, you could do that in the past though. Entire empires and
you could, but I'm saying the barrier to entry was so much higher.
I'm not denying. I'm not denying any of that.
I think it all waters down to intent. It used to be when you intended to buy something, you would get into your car and go and find the best place to buy it. You would get in your car, get out, walk out of your car, do this and do that. That shows intent. Instead, we just snap our fingers and we make a wage slave bring it to our door.
I think the issue is just barrier of entry.
We used to be able to. You used to have to show intent when you listen to music. You would have to go buy a CD, come home, put it in a CD player. You'd sit down and you would listen to it. That's something that has been taken through us through vehicles. When you wanted to go somewhere, you had to have true intent. And obviously this is in a broader sense. So when you wanted to migrate, as Tyson's saying, you had to really go for it. You can't just go and try and live in New York City for a year and then leave. It's completely different now.
Raise
And
the barrier
I
of
like what
entry
Tyson's
to
saying.
access
It's interesting.
any of that. That's the main issue.
I don't know what problem you're trying to solve. Tyson's just he's like reminiscing.
I know. Let's go. But remember, I want to say remember the early 1900s when cars were like first coming about. Not everyone could drive them, you know. And it was still like very much.
So what's your point?
Well, Ari's getting fixed up because he doesn't see things broadly. I
see what you're saying. I see what. Listen, the way I see it, the same way I view like. I've talked about this before, but the way literature was viewed in the past, it's just like a thing that was reserved for like a certain group of people in the past. Like if you really wanted it, yeah, you'd really have to have intent. And I don't think having the ability to like move everywhere is any different to that.
Well,
like, are you saying we should? Are you saying you prefer a world where like that level of accessible travel was completely eliminated?
Let's put it this way. I would prefer a world, and I'm getting real out there when I say this. I think cars about put me at my limit. We don't need planes. I don't think planes should be available for normal consumer travel. I think that's removed our sense of wonder, and it's made it too easy to plant yourself from your community. So. Yeah,
really
I'll draw the line at cars.
Kind of thinking. Considering Americans, most Americans don't even leave America.
Imagine you want to go from like Europe to America, and then you would have to sit on a ship for like 6 months straight. How much would you value America once you get off the ship? You would value it so much because you just risked a perilous journey to get there in the first place.
Yeah. To get to the promised land. And you just get off at Philadelphia. It's so funny. Sorry, it's just a funny image.
Get
you just sit on a fucking plane for like yeah.
Oh man.
Whereas these days, you just like hop on a plane for like 10 hours and you're like, oh, this is cool, and then you just go back. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't mean anything anymore to you.
I'm telling you, it's a symptom. Tyson, you're tapping in to my theories of the degradation of intent. And I think it means a lot. And it's at the source of a lot of people's issues with life, is that we can't properly appreciate anything anymore. Knowledge, travel, let's even say food, to stay accurate to the subject, because it's so readily available to us. And we don't have that. We don't have to put forth that effort to get it anymore.
Too much is available too easily. So it's no different to just cooming whenever you want, you know?
I think the term that I was looking for, I was about to say it, but I wasn't sure if it was the right word. Annui. ENNUI. A feeling of listlessness and a feeling of listlessness and dissatisfaction arising from a lack of occupation or excitement. So maybe humanity's struggling with Annui, and maybe cars have to do something.
I keep thinking.
So that's why we're announcing the Great Oregon Trail Pink Boys adventure, where Tyson gets syphilis and falls over and dies 3 months into the horseback adventure. So that's interesting, Tyson. Thanks for bringing that up.
I mean, you could hope for like. I don't know. I was going to say something horrible. Like, what if the world was just flooded again? Wouldn't that be fucking sick?
I don't think I'd survive that. I can't swim for a very long time. I'm a good swimmer, but not an endurance-based swimmer. So
stand somewhere. You could just like chill somewhere really high up or something.
I don't think so. I think if the world was flooded, there'd be yeah. I don't think I'd make it to wherever I needed to in time. But let's just say, in an overall cultural sense, we are due for a flood and hopefully get one soon.
Well,
so we'll see.
Actually, hold on. Real quick, about the whole 15-minute city thing. Are you talking about smart cities there?
I don't have a problem with them, if that's what you're saying. No. And I also think they should find a way to make... I mean, if you were to remove cars entirely, imagine if you traveled through the suburbs, but it was all train. Or it was all an automatic train that circled through the neighborhoods and the cul-de-sacs and everything else. I think that'd be a lot more interesting than everyone having a car. Yeah, sure. Monorail.
Like Japan?
I mean, sure. And they have incredible infrastructure.
Actually, holy shit.
Tapping into something.
So for those of you who don't know, I'm I'm living in New Zealand, but I was actually born in Singapore, and Singapore actually has what you're talking about, Moyer. Like, Ari, where barely anyone has a car, and everyone just gets around on transport because they've built like monorails throughout the entire city. So that's really cool, actually.
Yeah, I'd be more in support of that, and that has more to do with this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and like I saw this really cool quote about like a class divide and stuff, and they say that the mark of like a truly wealthy city is when even the rich take public transport.
Yes, I did see that before, Tyson. That is a really interesting subject and a great point, because it does have a lot to do with that, because it's like we're all equal in a sense where we're boiling it down to we're all just trying to get somewhere, and we're all alike in that and feel safe doing that because our city is just run so flawlessly. I know it's such a shame.
Like the subway in Singapore, it's so fucking clean, and there like you won't find anyone like pissing or like doing weird shit on the subway, because they'd be like arrested in 1 second. So
that's why that. Kind of to bring him up again, but that's one thing that Trump was kind of trying to work with before the end of his term, was some sort of infrastructure bill. I think conservatives should lean harder into that, because I think good infrastructure means good community, and that's something that they pretend to care about, and the left pretends to. Fair enough. Yeah, there's really nothing.
What
are
you guys' thoughts on the idea of like let's just take New York as an example of like a city, right? If like the buildings are connected horizontally.
I would love that so fucking much. Like, imagine I talked about this like a couple episodes ago, but imagine like every building above like 20 stories tall had like a platform where they would connect each building via like walkway. It would be like a street level, but like version 2 up in the sky. How fucking sick would that be?
Yeah,
I guess that kind of does make sense. It would reduce traffic, and it would also but also like, what is the criteria for connecting you to another building? Like, I could see my neighbor's building. It's like, sorry, bro, they said we got to connect to each other now for ease of use. I don't know. It just kind of would be strange to me. But
how is that a bad thing?
I don't know. Is it? Who knows? It's certainly strange, but
I think.
Interesting.
Anyway,
interesting.
Anything that moves us towards the city that we see in The Fifth Element, I'm all for it.
Is that what you're going for? I'm more of a Coruscant guy myself, but someday.
I'll take either one at this point.
You'll take either one. All right. I think, man, we went in a lot of different directions here, but we got somewhere in the end. Did you have anything else, before we finish up? Or you think
last night, or 2 nights ago, I was trying to go to sleep, and sometimes I'll listen to like a podcast. So that night it was Art Bell. Art Bell Dreamland.
Okay.
Scam artist.
What? Anyway, I was listening to Art Bell Dreamland. Something.
Oh, he's dead now. Sorry.
Yeah. So something about him with Robert Monroe, however. And I was drifting off to sleep, and I think I was like just about entering sleep while I was finishing this episode. And by the time I finished, I was asleep. And the next thing on my playlist played, and it's this other podcast called Point of Convergence, and it's just about like more esoteric stuff or whatever. This episode was about like the idea of like aliens being demonic. I started to God, because I was asleep, I started having dreams that are like in line with what was being talked about in the podcast, and this one went into like gross detail about like super like demonic, super evil aliens and all that, like doing horrific things to you. I swear to God, I had one of the worst nightmares I've ever had in my entire life.
Were you turned on?
I was not conscious of this. This like felt like a real dream. Like it wasn't like in my head I was like, oh, I'm just listening to a podcast. Like I had a full on dream, like I had a full on dream that was kind of built around what I was listening to, like subconsciously.
Are you gonna make a book about it called Whitley Strieber and lie about it?
No.
Pretend it was real.
No, none of it was real, but it was horrific. Then I woke up and I was like, damn. So could you go up to like a sleeping person and then just like say shit to them and like just know that when they wake up they're gonna be fucked up? Does that make sense? Like I was like, if I came across Tyson and he's sleeping, I like sat next to him and I said something like, "You're a sissy slut," or like, "You're a
Dude, I was gonna say the same thing, dude.
Like, is that actually?
I was at a
because I believe me, in my
internet
dream, I was
cafe.
fully like immersed in this. Like I was being
Go ahead,
tormented
Tyson.
by demons.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I was with my friends at an internet cafe a couple of years ago when I was in high school, and one of my friends fell asleep, so I put on the earphones and I played like a like 2 hour long video about like gay music and like gay stuff, and then he woke up and he acted like a bitch for a while. So
are you serious? What is that, like a hypnotic thing or something?
They do.
Actually, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, what if I listen to something in my sleep that's let's just say uplifting? Maybe that would help.
Believe you,
I don't
Tyson. That's basically what I was getting at. Is that like like damn, you could really influence yourself by playing shit in your sleep. It's crazy. So yeah, like, uplifting stuff probably it'd do something.
Maybe I should like listen to fucking like Spanish like language so I can wake up like knowing Spanish or something.
And I don't know.
Well, I don't know if that's quite
that's
how
not
it
how
works. Maybe you would wake up speaking Spanglish and like thinking you knew Spanish, like, "Hey, ese
probably
mi
wake up with an
hombre,
accent or
donde
something.
está el path?" Yeah, or you just wake up being extremely prejudiced against the
But
Spanish.
I was wondering, like, what is it in us that like okay, so we're influenced by like what we're listening to while we're asleep. Like, I'm thinking like, okay, you're in some kind of like transcendent state in your sleep. So when you're subjected to stimuli, like it does something to you. So I'm like, is this like some lost knowledge here or something? Like there's something more going on here, surely. Because like I can,
Oh wow, what a surprise you thought
I can
that.
no. Hold on. Because imagine like falling asleep and like I don't know, like some Roman cathedral or whatever, where they're all like praying or whatever in a really hypnotic way. Like I can kind of see how like you can get entranced into like a really you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we knew what you were getting at. Yeah. So why don't you try out something new and we'll see what happens. Come back to us. That's some homework for you. Listen to gay sex in your sleep.
I'm actually gonna try the Spanish stuff. I want to see if it works.
Why?
Could be cool.
Maybe I'll do it with French. Actually, I would like to learn a little French. Maybe I'll try that. And maybe I can listen to a guy that just says, "Do not overspeak for 5 minutes after you've made your point.
Okay,
do not overspeak for 5 minutes after you made your." And then you'll wake up. Yeah, make concise. That thing that took you a paragraph to say, you could have said it in 3 words. That thing that took. Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah,
maybe.
well,
that would be interesting.
There's like 1 or 2 people in the comment section that like it, so I'm gonna lean on them.
Those guys, yeah. All right. To those guys, you're fighting the good fight, I guess. Keep it up. Keep it up. All right. I'm about ready to wrap it up, folks. So yeah, we're a little bit all over the place here, but I like it. I'm not sure. Maybe we should have like a theme next episode.
One more tiny thing. I want to start a movement. And it's I saw this thing on Twitter, and basically is this new thing. It's a relatively small thing amongst Zoomers on TikTok, and it's the idea of sperm cramps. So,
sperm cramps?
Yeah. So it's like a running joke where like guys have a thing called sperm cramps, where it's like their balls kind of twist and it like hurts, and it's basically like something that happens every month, and it's the male equivalent of a period. And
I did see that online, and it's like some girl said, "Did you all know that guys have sperm cramps every month or something like that?" It was pretty funny.
Believes it. Like every guy gets the message. He's like, "All right, yeah, we're gonna roll with this." So I've been like playing around with this, and dude, it's fucking real. All right, okay, try it with anyone in the chat that talks to girls. If you exist, just bring up the idea of sperm cramps. Like normalize it. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Let's make this a thing. All right.
I was with you until you said the word normalize. I hate that word so much. So yeah.
You would, wouldn't you, Tyson?
Alrighty then. Yep. You have your orders, soldiers. Go do the man's bidding. But for now, before I think of anything else, I'm out of here. So until next time, this is a very esoteric episode of the Pink Boys podcast. So next time will be a little bit more normal for you. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later.
See ya.
I gotta